Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. This is the third Code U demo day that we posted, and seems to be an event that's gone over pretty well. So we will continue to do them for the foreseeable future. Just a quick overview. So first of all, if you don't know me, I'm Brian Lerman. I'm the program director for Code U. Been with the program for 8 years now, and always look forward to seeing projects when they're done at the end of every cohort, and getting to show them off to the community is always excellent as well. And so just as a quick overview, we have 7 folks joining us today. They were selected from the most recent class that just finished. They started the program all the way back in January of this year, January 2024, and just wrapped up in August. And so while they were in that program, what they did was they basically went through an intro course that just kind of introduced the world of programming and everything that entailed. And from there, they picked a pathway to go into. So we have 3 primary pathways. We have web development with JavaScript, data analysis with Python, software development with C#. And then we also had a side program, or not a side program, but a separate program that one person will be joining us from, called Empower Up, that focuses on Microsoft Power BI and data analytics. And so we'll be seeing some projects from all 4 of those classes today. And basically over the last 7 months and change, they've watched videos, they've worked with mentors, gone to class, built projects, updated their portfolios, done all kinds of things to get themselves to this place where they can present a project to you and have a portfolio ready to go. And if you are here representing an employer and looking for your next talent, we would welcome you to reach out to them or reach out to us, and we'll be happy to put you in touch. We'll also be following this meeting up with an email to all the employers who signed up tomorrow with the resumes of all of our presenters here today. And we'll be happy to help connect you. And also, this is just a small sampling of the talent the program has. We have hundreds of people that have gone through the program in recent years, many of whom are out there looking for jobs actively or will be soon. So if you're looking for your next talent, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We've got plenty of tech talent in a variety of pathways with tons of different backgrounds, all ready to join your companies, hopefully, or at least talk to you about it. In addition to being joined by folks from various pathways, we're joined from people all across the state of Kentucky. So internally, we kind of divide ourselves up into 4 regions. Those regions being the greater Louisville area, which includes some of southern Indiana, the greater Cincinnati area, which is all of northern Kentucky and southern Ohio, the eastern Kentucky, or you might also hear us refer to it as the SOAR region, because we partner with an organization there called Shaping Our Appalachian Region, or SOAR. And then the central Kentucky, kind of the greater Lexington area. Those are kind of our major concentrated areas, but basically our program is offered over 70-something counties in Kentucky, plus an additional 20 in southern Indiana and Ohio. Again, wide diversity of talent here, both in skills, background, experience, careers, everything. And I think you'll enjoy the presentations we have for you today. Again, there's 7 presentations. They're going to be about 6 minutes each. We're going to go through those basically back to back to back. And we'll ask that you hold questions till afterward, because after the presentations are done, what we're going to do is create breakout rooms. And so what we'll do is each of our presenters will get their own breakout room. And if you want to follow up with any of our presenters today, ask them questions about their project or their career, just get to know them more, or if you're just curious about something they presented, those breakout rooms will be open breakout rooms, meaning that you can select which one to join yourself, and you'll be able to just drop in and ask some questions. So if this were an in-person thing, basically we'd have our stage that we're on right now where everyone's presenting, and then we'd have like stations around the border of the room where you could walk up to. This is just the online version of that. So so we'll go through our presentations, have our breakout rooms, then there'll just be a very quick wrap up thank you at the very end, and that'll be the event. So before we begin, just a couple quick reminders. If you are wanting to connect with any of our presenters today, or other job seekers and talent that we have, or just about the program in general, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, Brian Lerman, or anyone else that you already know in the CodeU program. And we'll be happy to connect you with the right person or get whatever you need. And again, we'll be sending follow-up messages to our employers tomorrow, including the recording and a folder of resumes from our participants today, as well as a link to our graduate database, where you can find additional folks that have completed our program that are out there in the job market. And so without further ado, I think we're ready to begin. So in just a moment, we're going to be joined by Nick Swinford. So Nick, go ahead and start getting yourself set up. But again, these are going to be quick presentations. Certainly a lot more to cover about these projects that they may not have time for today. But we just wanted to give you a good taste of a variety of projects that came from our program, and encourage you to stay engaged with the program and also come back in 4 months to see even more of these projects. So let's go ahead and get started. So first off today, we're joined by Nick Swinford. Nick recently completed our web development with JavaScript program, and he's joining us from London, Kentucky. And so Nick, whenever you're ready, let's kick it off.
Thank you very much, Brian. Hello, everyone. I'm here to talk to you about my project, SGN Native. So a little bit about me first. I've always been passionate and interested in technology, even as a little kid. I'd spend hours tinkering away on computers. But when I went to college, I started volunteering for some nonprofits, and I found that many of them lacked skills or people to help them manage their website. And I kind of volunteered to fill that gap. So I started, exploring building websites, and that's when I kind of started falling in love with web development. Over time, I've built my skill set. I started out, simply with HTML and CSS, and over time, I've learned more about JavaScript, PHP, and object-oriented programming. And for a while now, I've wanted to turn web development into a full-time career. So when I discovered CodeU, I thought it would be a fantastic opportunity for me. That I've largely been self-taught, and I hoped they would fill in any gaps that I was missing. So, and it's been a fantastic learning experience for me, especially their help with with resume preparation, interview skills, and mock interviews has been fantastic. So a little bit about my project. SGN is a community that I started about 10 years ago. We have a website that's kind of a social network, and the website's been growing out of date, and it's been needed replaced for a while. On top of that, I've been exploring and learning more about front-end frameworks. And after taking on a project with React, I thought the next logical step would be to try React Native application. And for my community, I knew having a mobile application would be a great benefit to them. So this was a great opportunity for me to bring both of those things together and create a mobile application with web technologies, mainly JavaScript. When I was beginning to research the application, and I knew I wanted to find some libraries to kind of take some of the burden off me so I could focus more on features and abilities than reinventing the wheel. And these are some of the tools that I decided on picking. One of the main features I picked was React Native for Web. React Native for Web takes a React Native application, which is typically for a device such as an Android or an iOS device, and allows it to run in the web. And this was honestly one of the biggest challenges I had when I first took on the project. I kind of assumed that React Native for Web would basically be React in the browser. And it was a lot more complicated than that. So typically in React Native, you would use the image component to display an image. And my original assumption was that it would just output an image tag in the browser. But what you actually get here is more in the rendered markup. And this is because React Native for Web doesn't just make a React application, it actually creates an entire React Native environment in the browser. So this is done to provide complete backwards compatibility with everything that a React Native application would have on a device. And once I figured that out, it was much more an asset than a hindrance. So one of the main features I wanted to implement was the dashboard or the activity feed, which is pretty common among social media applications, which mine is made of three main parts: the composer, which allows people to post new items to the activity feed, an infinite scrolling feed, and each item in the feed is called a story in my particular website. Here you can see it with the loading state, and with the empty skeletons. And then after a short time, the items load in, and then you can scroll down. Once you get to the bottom, you get a loading indicator and more items load in. This, of course, works on both the browser and on a mobile device the same. So after implementing the dashboard, I wanted to add in the ability to create notes. And this is where the composer comes into play. One of the main features that I used, or libraries I used, was called TanStack Query, and it's a state management library. So one of the nice features it allows is that you can set a particular query key. As you can see in the first snippet here, we have the query set to stories. And then when I post a note, I am able to invalidate that query, and that will cause TanStack query to automatically refetch the statuses from the server. So this allows them, both the components, to interact, but without being tightly coupled. After implementing the composer, I wanted to make sure that I also added read, edit, and delete functions, as well as the ability to place a comment on a note. So once you click on a note, you can go to it, view it, add comments, edit it, like here, as you see here. And this is really another area that TanStack really helped out, because it keeps the browser state in sync with the server state very smoothly. And then, as you can see, once you click on delete, it takes you to, you transition to the Note Now on page. That is my application. So my next steps will be to advance my career in web development, and add more features and social media applications to SGN Native. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Great job, Nick. Looks like you got some great features going for it, and really impressive project. Next up, we're going to be joined by Kayla Holder. So Kayla joins us from Lexington, Kentucky, and she also just recently completed the web development program. And Kayla, whenever you're ready, go ahead and share your screen, and the floor is yours.
Are you on mute, maybe?
I was. I apologize.
Yep.
It happens.
All right. As I said, my name's Kayla Holder. I live in Lexington, Kentucky. I'm currently a financial aid counselor at Midway University. Coding has always been a dream of mine. So when I heard about CodeU, I knew it was the perfect opportunity to start chasing that dream. I chose CodeU because it offered me accountability by meeting weekly, flexibility, and affordability. And the fact that it was virtual made it convenient to work with my busy schedule. I wanted to pursue coding because I enjoy the challenging aspect of it, as well as the problem solving aspect. So I enjoy having a problem, thinking through it, and coming up with a solution. And like I said before, it's been a lifelong dream of mine. And I just didn't know how to get started. So why Book Banter? As for Book Banter, this project was inspired by my love for reading. I host a book club with friends where we meet weekly, and I've always enjoyed the idea of an online platform that meets together and discusses books. Book Banter is made up of JavaScript, CSS, and HTML. Some challenges that presented itself while working on Book Banter was learning the applications that come with coding. So for this instance, it was learning how to use VS Code and learning all the ins and outs of the program. And this also required me to learn how to commit to GitHub and how to view the website on its live server. Learning the different languages that comes with coding. So for this instance, with the web development cohort, we focused on JavaScript, CSS, and HTML. But I know that as I progress in my coding career, I'll want to learn new languages as well. And lastly was making my site dynamic for other screens and other devices. In web development, they refer to this as media queries. So a media query is when you're able to code and view a website from a desktop, a tablet, and a smartphone. And when I was able to do that, I was very proud of the work I accomplished because I was able to see my website, my project from a new dimension. And this is what my website looks like from mobile view, and it is responsive. Something I was proud of when making Book Banter was coming up with the sign up form. So at the top of the page, you'll be able to enter your first name, last name, and email. And once you hit sign up, it'll take you to a free data. You can access the information by accessing it through a free data storage website called Pantry. And all you need to access that information is the API key, and you can see who's registered for Book Banter. I also worked with JSON arrays, and that made JavaScript for me less intimidating because I realized how it worked. So instead of hard coding every item onto the page, for instance, hard coding The Hobbit, Harry Potter, We Hunt the Flame, I was able to use this code right here. And using this code gave me a chance to all I have to do now is just insert the title of the book and insert the name of the author, and then also just present a link for the cover. Another part I enjoyed was working with the countdown script. While it was difficult, it challenged me. And I wanted my countdown script to be functional, but the big thing for me was making it aesthetically pleasing for viewers who wanted to access my website. I was also thrilled when I successfully integrated an API that displays new book quotes at the bottom of the screen. So for me, this gave a chance to have an interactive element to the website. So if you come onto the website and you refresh the page, a new book quote will display each and every time. What I enjoyed most about Book Banter was the sense of accomplishment I felt when I was able to tackle a new task, the continuous learning, being able to overcome a challenge, the creativity aspect of it, and it gave me the ability to help others. I want to say thank you to everyone at CodeU and all of its mentors and volunteers, because without them, I know Book Banter would not be what it is today. If you want to reach me, all you have to do is reach me at my email at kholder92@gmail.com. My phone number is provided, as well as my LinkedIn and my GitHub. And since we have a moment, I want to take you to my website so you can see it firsthand. As you can see, this is another interactive element to the website when you highlight the titles on the page. Here's my sign-up code, my countdown script. This is the book we're currently reading. And this is the list of books we've read. And at the bottom, you can see the quote I mentioned earlier. And as I said, all you have to do is refresh the page and it'll show a new quote. And then lastly, you can see the mobile view of the website. You toggle right there and it can show you the headlines of each section of the web page. And I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who came in today and watched my presentation. And again, a big thank you to everyone at CodeU. I hope you guys have a wonderful day.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kayla. Always good to see projects that serve our personal interests and add your passion into your project. So,
thank you.
All right. So next we're going to move into out of the world of web development and into, well, I guess the related world of C# and .NET. So these are going to be folks that completed our software development with C# course. First up, we're going to be joined by Ryan Modisette, who will be joining us, or who comes to us from Richmond, Kentucky. So Ryan, whenever you're ready, take it away.
Thank you for the introduction, Brian. and thank you all for coming. As Brian mentioned, my name is Ryan Modisette, and my wife and I live in Richmond, Kentucky. We've been here for about a year and a half, but before moving to Richmond, my wife and I lived in Louisville, Kentucky, where I worked full-time and completed a number of graduate degrees in the humanities. Shortly after moving, though, I decided to transition out of higher ed into the field of technology. So I started teaching myself Python and JavaScript, along with computer science fundamentals like data structures and algorithms. After a few months of self-study, I discovered CodeU. Though I've always been a self-starter and a self-learner, I wanted certain things that only a program like CodeU could offer, things like mentorship, networking, support, and feedback. And CodeU made all of that available to me right where I was. For my capstone project, I've created a website, vickymodisette.com, using C# and .NET's Razor pages. Shortly after I started learning to code, my wife came to me and asked if I would build her a website. I put her off initially, and then as I started the CodeU program, I kept thinking to myself, what am I going to do for a capstone project? And at first, I wasn't convinced that building a website would be the best way to showcase my abilities in software engineering. But the longer I thought about it, the more I realized it could be an ideal way to gain experience working with a client, to develop a project plan, and form a minimum viable product that I would have to deliver. So I sat down with her and I talked through what she wanted and drafted a list of requirements. And then I started breaking down those requirements into major tasks and started breaking each task into smaller executable items that I put on a Kanban board. And then I just worked through those items programmatically. Whenever I finished a section, I would meet back up with her, show her my progress, and then get feedback so that I could iterate on what I had. And what I'm presenting to you today is the finished product, which she's quite happy with and meets all of her needs. So here's my contact information, but this is the landing page for the website here. So you have her name with some basic information. Long term, I plan on replacing this background photo here with a picture of the pinnacles at Berea to showcase local scenery. But I wanted to find something like quickly that met the color scheme that I was going for. You'll notice the nav bar at the top and then social media icons that are linked to her account up at the right. One of the major requirements that she needed is she wanted a way to display the information on her CV in a more attractive format. And that's what the About page is for. So here you'll notice she has her name is displayed, basic information about her is provided. I embed her social media feed by calling X's API here. And then off to the left, you'll notice a fixed navigation bar that allows you to scroll to relevant sections on her CV. So other academics can find her, find out what she's researching, and figure out whether or not they would like to work with her on a future research project. She also wanted a section where students could find files for the courses they're taking without logging into Blackboard or Canvas. So I've created this content section here, and students can find the year, the semester, and the particular course they're interested in. And then they're presented with a list of course documents or course files that Vicky has uploaded. So here, you could read this in the browser, you could download this. It functions as it would in most other websites. And then there's a contact page. She wanted people to be able to contact her without disclosing personal information. So here's obviously a dummy form, but we can submit this. And then when that's submitted, all of that information is automatically sent to an email account that she has access to. It's also saved in the website's database and then is fed to a backend that I've created here. So there's a secret admin section that you can log into, and this provides authentication, and that I've set it up such that only certain accounts have access to this information on the back end. So here, Vicky can log in and she can see all of the contact submissions that have been submitted. She can make notes here. She can edit them, delete them as she sees fit. She can search them. If she wants all of the submissions that start with this email address, or she makes notes and she wants to sort all of her contacts by a particular note that she made, she could do that and she would have this data here. Something similar is there for the courses. So she can create a course. She can add however many files she would like at one go. And that information is then fed back to the courses tab here in the content section. So the biggest challenge I had building the website was just having to come up with solutions to so many little problems that I hadn't confronted before. I never implemented authentication or authorization. I hadn't worked with Bootstrap before. I was unfamiliar with Razor Page syntax. I didn't know how to use SMTP or how to upload files. So none of those problems were insuperable on their own, but when you have lots of little problems that you have to find solutions for, it can create a major headache. That's why I emphasized at the beginning, I really had to sit down and break larger tasks into smaller tasks until I could actually do this one thing. I can do this one thing, and then I can build on it and build on it and build on it until at the end of the day, I have something that meets all the requirements that we agreed to at the beginning. In conclusion, I just want to say I'm eager to keep learning and growing as a developer. And in the near future, I hope to find an internship or an entry-level position where I can contribute to a development team in a meaningful way. Currently, I'm pursuing a master's in computer science at Eastern Kentucky University here in Richmond, and I'm in the process of planning a number of other builds with some developers in the area. Thank you for coming, and I hope to speak to you soon.
Awesome. Well done, Ryan. Continuing in our software development area, next up we're joined by Brent Reynolds. Brent comes to us from Louisville, Kentucky. And Brent, whenever you're ready.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks, Brian, for the introduction, and thank you all for coming to watch. So I'm Brent Reynolds. I'm a little bit about me. I'm a senior at Bellarmine University studying computer science, and so I'll be graduating next May. And then I've had various internships in finance and tech, and I've found a passion in tech. So that's where I want my career to be going. So for this cohort, I decided to do a trip tracking web app. So a user can enter in a trip that they wanted to take, say going to Miami, then they could add the links to the trip. They would go from Louisville, the SDF to Atlanta, and then Atlanta to Miami. And then you can also add notes to your trip as well. So if you had any notes that you wanted to take during the trip. And then the web app automatically calculates the distance per leg for the trip. So how many miles you traveled. And so I picked this project because I wanted to learn how to make a full stack CRUD web app. And also I wanted to use React on the front end and a .NET Web API on the back end, and then a SQL Server and SQLite database for the tech stack. And the reason I chose that was because I've never used React before, so I wanted to learn that. And then I also wanted to learn how to implement AppsNet Core identity with JWT tokens for authorization. And also, I'm a big fan of aviation, so it was just a really fun project for me to make. And so to get into the demo of the web app, so once you get to this screen, you can click on the Get Started button, and then I've already got an account set up, but if you don't have an account, you can click here to sign up. And so I'll just enter in my credentials. And click sign in. And then it shows which trips you've already taken. And so say you wanted to go to Miami, you would click this add button here, type in Miami, and then type in the dates for your trip. So maybe I'm leaving today. And then click to add the trip. Pop up down here, and then you click on the name and you can add the trip leg. So say you would go from the Louisville airport to Atlanta. And then add in the dates of the flight. Add the leg, and it calculates the miles on the right. And then you can add another leg from Atlanta to Miami. Add the leg. All right. And then you can add notes as well. So maybe you wanted to take notes of what you did that day. So maybe Miami day 1. You say, I went to the beach. So you can add journals, and then you can also edit them if you choose, or delete them. And if you go back, you can see that now Miami is added there. And you can add more trips if you would like. So going forward, I'm planning on continuing to add more features to this web app, such as a photo gallery for users to upload trip photos that they've taken during the trip. Also, I'd like to add a stream of events that are in and around the cities that the user travels to. So if you're going to Miami, maybe it would give you a list of events of things that are going around near the city. And then also I'd like to add the ability to create a trip itinerary, forgot my password functionality, and some other features as well. I'd say some of the biggest challenges for me this project were implementing the authorization. I've never used JWT tokens and AppsNet Core Identity before, so that was a challenge. Lots of debugging and just tinkering around with it. Actually, I had to change my database design in order to implement it correctly. So there's lots of challenges around that. And then also the other big challenge was just learning React in a short time frame in order to make this project work well. And here's my contact information if you'd like to get in touch with me. Please shoot me an email or send me a message on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to respond to it. And also, you can check out some of my other projects on GitHub as well, if you'd like. And lastly, I'd like to thank everyone at Code Louisville for all the help throughout the project. It's definitely been a good learning experience for me, and I definitely learned a lot more about full stack development. So it's been a great experience. Thank you all.
Awesome. Thanks, Brent. Well done. And next up for our last software dev project is Blake Matthews. So Blake is joining us from Northern Kentucky in from Florence. And Blake, whenever you're ready, take it away. I'm not sure if you're talking, Blake, but if you are, you're on mute.
Hi, my name is Blake Matthews. Sorry, it took over my screen. There we go. My name is Blake Matthews. I live in Northern Kentucky, and I completed the Code U software development track. I have a degree in English from Northern Kentucky University. I also did a fair amount of math and science when I was in school. My background is in education. I was a tutor for NKU and also freelance. I love tutoring, but I realized that teaching in a classroom was not really for me. Currently, I'm a Geek Squad a Geek Squad agent, pardon me, which is a combination of consultant and technician. So I get to leverage my education experience along with my technical experience. And whenever I don't know something, I get to research new technical knowledge that I did not know, and I can help my clients. I always had an interest in computers and software and what makes them work under the hood. Developing software is both technical and creative, so I get to exercise both of those skill sets that I have. I'm a strong learner, but programming is an extremely wide field of knowledge, and there's a lot to learn, both starting out and on the job as you work. CodeU provides a structured, guided environment to focus on learning the next foundational skill. Since I have a more non-traditional background for the tech industry, but a lot of transferable skills, CodeU gave me the mentorship that I needed to incorporate my background with the new knowledge that I was getting. My adaptability and these transferable skills from my background and my current work are my greatest strengths, and they're both really important for software development. So they helped me a lot during this project and during my time in the program. My capstone project is a ticketing system for a fictional tech repair company called PC Clinic, patterned after applications that I use at work every day. The application is a CRUD app, which stands for Create, Read, Update, Delete. These are data reading and writing actions performed on a database, typically through a user interface or UI. A CRUD app such as mine is a straightforward and practical way to perform database actions in a way that can be observed in real time by the user through the UI, and then you can look directly into the database if you want to and see those changes as well. My CRUD app uses APIs, or application programming interfaces, which is a way for two potentially unrelated pieces of software to talk to each other. I wrote those APIs in my program layer, and my UI calls them and stores and retrieves information from the database. The program layer is written in C# and uses .NET technologies, including Entity Framework Core. The UIs, APIs, and relational databases are all very commonly used components of applications in the industry, so working with these was really important to me. Customer accounts, devices, tickets, and repair logs have relationships managed in the database. A customer can have multiple devices, devices can have multiple tickets, and tickets can have multiple repair logs. Additionally, there are technician user accounts to show who has worked on a ticket via repair log. Here you can see a list of customers and options for adding or editing customers and then saving to the database. Adding a customer makes them appear in the customer list immediately. By clicking on the customer account, you can see the account's devices with similar add or edit options. You can see the one-to-many relationship of customers to devices on this list. A device's tickets are displayed with notes, submission times, and the status of the repair, either received, in progress, completed, or closed. The ticket queue displays open tickets, which includes completed ones. When the device is picked up by the customer, the ticket is closed and then no longer appears in the queue. Viewing the ticket shows the logs for each ticket. These can also be viewed by selecting the technician who created the log, and I have both of these methods outlined on this slide. A property of repair logs notes whether they are for repair work performed or for customer contact, such as informing the customer that the repair is completed and the device can be picked up. On this slide, you can see the process of making a log with a note about device pickup on the left, and then the ticket being closed on the right. So what I did is I was just taking screenshots as I went. I edited ticket number 3 on the top there, closed it, hit submit, and as you can see, it is no longer in the list of open tickets. Faced a few challenges along the way, and I learned some important things while I was trying to overcome them. I had to learn new technologies and how to make them work together in a short time frame. It is a full stack application, as I explained earlier. Full stack development is uncommon in the real world, partly because of these challenges, and I had to work and adapt quickly. I initially used a web development technology called Blazor for the UI, and I ran into development issues, had to manage those setbacks. I pivoted to a different method of UI creation with limited time left, and I learned it on the fly. Most importantly, I learned how and when to ask for help from more senior developers when I need it, just like I did in this situation. I do think that's probably the most important thing I learned because as I've talked to some mentors about since then, everyone needs help and it's okay to ask. I wanted to thank the CodeU staff who helped me along the way and for everyone for being here and listening to my presentation today, as well as my fellows. I really appreciate your time and attention, and I hope you have a good one. Thank you.
Great job, Blake. Always good to see a project being applied to kind of solve a work challenge that you have to deal with. So, all right. Next, we're going to move into the world of data. So we have a couple data analytics projects for you. The first one comes from our Python data class. This is a class that went into data analytics, a lot of visualization tools and stuff like that, and used Python to make all that happen. So Aaron Miller is joining us from the Louisville area. And Aaron, whenever you're ready, go ahead and bring up your project and we'll take a look.
My name is Aaron Miller, and I am currently reside in Louisville, Kentucky. I have an English degree from the University of Louisville and am now a proud graduate of the CodeU Data Analytics pathway. So I was previously an operations manager and have over 8 years of experience running a tire distribution center. I initially signed up for CodeU/Code Louisville because I'm currently in the process of making a career shift aimed at transitioning into a more tech-centric field. So why am I making this mid-career shift, you might ask? At some point, operations, while never easy, became particularly difficult after the COVID-19 pandemic due to manpower shortages and global supply chain issues. This was ultimately the impetus for me to begin my self-educated tech journey starting in 2022. Thanks to this, I am now have certifications in Python, SQL, Java, JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. And I ultimately chose the data analytics pathway with CodeU because I believe there is a good deal of correlation and overlap between the data analytics field and my previous career in operations. So this probably enough introduction about me. So let's move on to, I guess, the project itself. For my capstone project, I decided to focus on an organization that I have been actively applying to in the hopes that it will help me stand out when interviewing. For this reason, I chose FEMA and the Open FEMA dataset as the basis for my project. I feel that working for FEMA would give me a sense of gratification by focusing my time, efforts, and skills towards the pursuit of helping those suffering from natural disasters. I will say I'm still open to working elsewhere. This is just one of the possible avenues I've been kind of approaching. As far as my project, I primarily utilize the Python programming language to make several API or application programming interface calls to the Open FEMA dataset. It then cleans and converts these API calls from JSON into a data frame using the Pandas Python library. Finally, it then exports the data as a SQL database using the SQL Alchemy Python library. Because I already had some familiarity with Python and SQL, most of the work on my project went very smoothly. However, I didn't complete it without some challenges and difficulties. The FEMA dataset is a good deal larger than anything I've worked with before in the past. It contains over 65,000 rows of data. This forced me to quickly learn about API pagination, which is the process of making multiple concurrent API calls, then combining them. After dealing with these challenges, I was finally able to dig into the actual data. And here I'll give you kind of like a little example. With the data cleansed and organized, I created a workbook and dashboard in Tableau that focused on the current unique disaster declarations to see when and where they are occurring and what type of disasters are most common. So for example, in this visualization, I've highlighted that fire turns out to be the most common unique disaster type in the United States historically. Furthermore, in this next visualization, you see that aside from the COVID outbreaks in 2020, 2011 had the most disaster declarations on record. After digging into this, I discovered that 2011 was a particularly bad year for wildfires in Texas. So in this next slide, I've highlighted that the typically dry month of August has the most declarations. and that the wildfire-plagued Los Angeles County, California, has historically had the most disaster declarations. So with all these data points in mind, I've come to a specific conclusion. While most natural disasters are preventable, fire, the leading disaster declaration type, can be mitigated. So my takeaway from this project so far is that the government could potentially save both money and lives by investing further in fire prevention. First blush conclusions aside, I do plan to continue to work on this project. I have plans to improve the API call process with a while loop that will allow for a more sustainable API function. And I also want to work with the data in Power BI because I just kind of want to see how it compares to Tableau, and there might be some more functionality. I had some trouble with Tableau working with the county data that I had. I'm hoping Power BI might give me some more functionality. But that is about it. That wraps up my presentation. I did realize we have a little more time. I was trying to truncate my presentation to save the time, but I do want to mention a few things. I really appreciated the help from the mentors and CodeU. While I already had some familiarity with Python as well as SQL, I really, I guess, grew learning more about some stuff like, the GitHub itself. Never utilized GitHub, and that really helped make things a little more streamlined. Learned a bit more about some other programming things. In general, very helpful experience, and I really appreciate everything they did for us. So if you have any questions or I guess want to get a hold of me for anything, I have included my contact information, my LinkedIn info, as well as my GitHub URL and the project URL. Thank you all and have a wonderful rest of your day.
All right, great job, Aaron. So our next data project, we're going to be joined by Jokara Beatty. So real quick, Jokara participated in a program called Empower Up, which is a sister program to Code Louisville and Code Kentucky that fits under the CodeU brand. And they took a little bit different approach in that class where they worked with a real life client, a local nonprofit called Catalyst Sports. And Jokara is going to tell you more about them and what they do and the data analysis that they went through as a class. So Jokara, and Jokara is joining us from Louisville. So Jokara, whenever you're ready, it's all you.
Thank you, Brian. All right. All right, so a little bit about me. My name is Jokara Beatty, as Brian introduced. I took the Empower Up data analytics course focused in Power BI. And we got to work with Catalyst Sports, as Brian said. And here's my contact information. If anybody wants to reach out to me after the presentation, I really appreciate that. First, I do want to give a little bit of background about Catalyst Sports. So they are a nonprofit organization that provides outdoor sports for people with physical disabilities. That in itself I thought was pretty cool, especially for me having an older sister with physical and mental disabilities. I actually told her about this program after I started working with them. So it kind of touched me in a different way. So I was really excited and really proud of what I came up with. So Catalyst Sports was started back in 2012 in the state of Georgia. They do have a Louisville chapter that started in 2021. So I provided a map here on my dashboard. As you can see, it's mainly in the southeast region of the United States. And I asked her why. Emily Moscow is the program director for the Louisville chapter. And I asked her why it was mainly in the southeast region of the United States. And she told me that in the southeast region specifically in America, we don't really have a lot of resources for people with physical disabilities. So they kind of want to keep it there, which I thought was really it really spoke to their morals and everything, because I wanted to look into that a little bit deeper. So I did a little research, and according to the CDC, the national average of people with some sort of disability in America is 25.6%. And in the Southeast region of America alone, is over 30%. So to know that and to not have the proper resources or the resources that are available in different regions of the United States kind of stuck out to me, and it kind of really made me appreciate Catalyst Sports more because they want to focus on the area that's underrepresented. And of course, that could be due to like socioeconomic status, access to healthcare and things like that. But still, the fact that this is a nonprofit organization that wants to focus on that specific area really stuck out to me. So the project we did with Catalyst Sports, they wanted us to answer some of their grant questions and kind of just analyze some data sets that they provided to us. So some of the grant questions that they gave us were they wanted to know some of the grant lenders wanted to know like the total events of sports and kind of breaking it down by like a grand total, a total by state, chapter, and things like that, or even sport. So here, in this chart down here, I gave the event sport, the total events, and athletes and volunteer participants, and you can even filter by sport if you wanted to. So like kayaking, they had a total of 49 events with a total of 284 people that attended, athletes and participants. And in the um, chart here, you can see how many specific athletes and how many specific volunteers attended. And as you can see here, it's only in the state of Tennessee and Georgia. So really my dashboard is kind of filtering the grant questions of like who participated and what the experiences were that they participated in, because not all of the sports are available in all of the states. And I have it to where you can filter between volunteer and athletes. The next dashboard I have is specifically toned into the donations. And the great questions that they really want us to figure out is where in America is the donations coming from? And on Catalyst Sports website, they actually have a tab to where different areas that you can donate in. One that stuck out to me was Happy House. So they have a selection of realtors. So once they sell houses, they can donate a portion of their earnings to Catalyst Sports specifically. I thought that was pretty cool. One thing that I couldn't find with the data sets that they provided were out of all the donations that came all across America, what donations specifically came from the different areas of donations that they have listed on their website. I would have loved to know that. But as you can see on the map that I have here, donations, even with Catalyst Sports only being available in the Southeast region of the United States, the donations are coming from all across America, even in Alaska. So that was pretty cool. And this is just for the years of 2022 to April of 2024. And they had a total of $249,000 that was donated. I can even filter it down to who was a recurring donor and who wasn't. So the active recurring donors is a total of 53 donors who donated $51,000, which was amazing to me. And I also have it listed here by state and things. So yeah, like I said earlier, this nonprofit organization was just really special to me. I've never even heard of Power BI before I joined Empower Up. I actually got into Empower Up by letting my friend Jade know, who happened to be a mentor in Empower Up, that I was looking into data analytics, and she told me that they had a free class through Code U, focusing in Power BI right before I was about to put my card down for that Coursera course. So I think it was the universe really aligning with me and wanted to further in my career. And thank you for being here and listening to my presentation along with my peers. And I hope y'all have a great.
Right. Well done, Jukara.
Thank you.
So yeah, so Jukara was our last presentation for today. I hope you all enjoyed seeing these.